Minasan, konnichiwa. Do you know what the 3 articles are in English? I have a banana, and I have an apple. The banana is old, but the apple is fresh. In these 2 sentences, you could hear me use all 3 articles. The articles in English are a, an, and the. My name is Jen, and today we're going to talk about how to use these articles in English. Before we really get into it, I just want to give you a small warning. This is something that many, even advanced English learners, sometimes still make mistakes with and struggle with. So if you are not perfect with using articles right away, don't worry, relax. Do your best to follow my simple rules for using a, an, and the, and you will be fine. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to divide the articles into 2 groups, definite and indefinite articles. I'm going to start with the indefinite articles. There are 2, a and an. Let's talk about when to use a and when to use an. The alphabet has 26 letters. The letters A, E, I, O, and U are called vowels. An easy way to help you remember vowels, I find, is this. You have A, E, I, O, and U. So it kind of looks like a happy face. Again, these are the vowels in English. If a word starts with a vowel, then you need to use the article an. An apple, an eraser, an ice cube, cold, an orange, an umbrella, an egg. It is an alarm clock, an onion, an avocado, an olive, an ice cream sandwich. If the letter is not a vowel, if it is one of the other 21 letters of the alphabet, then you should use a. A banana, a fan, a book, a fork, a hat, a purse. So we talked a little bit about when to use a and when to use an. I just want to tell you though that for every rule in English, there's usually an exception. There are 2 quick exceptions to this rule that I want to introduce you to. The first exception to this rule is your word will also begin with a if the vowel sound makes a y sound, as in you, or for example, unicorn. This is a unicorn. We don't say an unicorn because the UN at the beginning of the word sounds like a y. So most words in English that start with UN, you need to use a, not an. A unicorn, I have an umbrella. The sound makes a big difference. The second exception is if the word begins with a silent H, an hour. Right? Because we don't say the H sound, we don't have a h, it's not a hour, right? So an hour, because you have the very strong ah sound, the vowel sound, right? So for example, an hour, an honor, an honest person. Silent H, use an. An hour, a hat, because you're pronouncing the h sound. So those are the 2 exceptions for a and an. Now I want to talk a little bit about when you should use indefinite articles, a and an, versus definite articles. There are 2 main ways that you can think about how to use a and an. One of them is when there are many, many things in the world, right? So it's called indefinite because you're not definitely choosing one thing. It can be one of many. For example, I watched a movie last night. I'm going to go to a restaurant tonight. This morning, I drank a latte. In those 3 sentences, there are many lattes in the world. I had one of many possible lattes, okay? I watched a movie. There are millions of movies. Which one? I'm not saying, right? I'm going to go to a restaurant. I live in Toronto. There's a lot of restaurants, one of many, okay? So for example, if I'm sitting in my house and it's kind of quiet and I think, you know what, I would like to listen to some music. I would like to listen to a CD. I have many CDs. Which CD do I want to listen to? I didn't say, just a CD. Any CD is fine. Or maybe I'm feeling a little bit hungry. So here I have a basket of apples, okay? So I want an apple. Which apple? Doesn't matter. They're all the same to me. I just want an apple, one of many general things. The second rule on when to use a or an still follows the first rule, but it's something important that I wanted to mention to you guys. Whenever you first introduce a noun into the conversation, you need to use a or an, okay? Because you're introducing one of many possible things to the listener or to the reader. So, for example, earlier I said, I have a banana, I have an apple, because I'm introducing the banana and the apple to you. Now you could hear me use the because I'm already talking about the apple and the banana that I previously introduced with a and an. Here I have a basket of apples. I said I want an apple. Okay, good. I got an apple. The apple is red. Okay, so the first time I introduced the apple to you, I used an. Okay, after that, then I can use the because you and I both know which apple we are talking about. I want to send you a quick reminder, quickly remind your brain that articles have to come before nouns. What else comes before nouns if you remember last week's lesson? That's right. Adjectives also have to come before nouns. In this case, then, you would put the article before the adjective, okay? It is a cup. It is an orange cup. See how that worked? So the article in front of the noun, you add an adjective, boom, in the middle. It is an apple. It is a red apple. Right? So a and an are changing based on which word they're coming in front of. Apple, yes, starts with an A, but red starts with the letter R. So a red apple. Cup starts with the letter C, but it's an orange cup. An orange cup. This is an earring. It is a beautiful earring. It is a dress. It is an ugly dress. It is a puzzle. It is a difficult puzzle. I want to quickly talk about 2 times that you do not need to use articles. 2 times where you should not use a and an. The first one is if the noun is plural. Okay? Plural means there is more than one of something, right? So I have a candy. Just one. But, I have candies. More than one candy. Okay? So what a lot of people do, a lot of native speakers, instead of using an article, because we can't use an article with a plural noun, what we might say is some. I have candies. Or I have some candy. I have apples. Many apples. Okay? Or I have some apples. I have eggs. Or I have some eggs. In these 3 instances, we cannot use a or an because the noun is plural. There is more than one. The second time that you cannot use a or an is if the noun is uncountable. Okay? If it is a non-count noun. For example, water. We cannot count water, right? So I have water. I like water. Okay? General statements, we don't need the article, okay? And non-countable nouns, we don't need the article. Perfume is also non-countable. Perfume smells good. We don't need to use an article because it is a non-count noun. Money is another non-countable noun. I want more money. Okay? Don't use an article with non-count nouns. Let's move on to the. The is the last article, okay? So first, I'm going to mention that the can be used with any letter of the alphabet. Remember, an could only be used with vowels, and a was used only with consonants, except for the exceptions we talked about. The is used with any letter of the alphabet, okay? Now, there are three main ways that we use the in English. Let's take a look at the first way. The first way we use the in English is if there is only one of something in the world. We have one world, the world, okay? So the sun, the moon, the Eiffel Tower, the Great Wall of China, the internet, the CN Tower, okay? There is only one of all of these things, so we need to use the when we're talking about them. The second way that we use the is when we're talking about a specific, a definite, it's called a definite article, particular, unique, or exact thing. So earlier I said, oh, I want to listen to a CD. Any CD is fine. But if I want to choose a particular CD, oh, I want to listen to the Come From Away soundtrack. So the is used to choose a particular item. Earlier we also talked about apples. Okay? I want an apple. Any apple is fine. No, I want the apple on top. I want the reddest apple, the shiniest apple. Okay? The reddest, the shiniest, the most delicious, the juiciest. All of these things are starting with the. These are called superlative adjectives. So you're choosing the best of something, right? My husband is the best in the world. Chocolate is the most delicious food. You're also going to use the when you're talking about a particular thing using superlative adjectives. We also use the when we're talking about a particular group of people, such as the elderly or the homeless. The third way that we should use the is after we have already introduced a noun into the conversation. I started mentioning this a little bit when we were talking about a and an. So the first time we talked about an apple and a banana, we used a and an. But when we talk about the same apple and the same banana again, we should use the. The banana is old. The banana smells a little bit bad. I should make banana bread. The apple is new and shiny. Because we know which apple out of all the many we had earlier and which banana, this banana. So it's already being introduced into the conversation. The listener and the speaker, or the reader and the writer, both know which noun we are talking about. We should use the second time we talk about the noun. So just like we talked about two ways where you could not use a and an, there are also two ways where you should not use the. In fact, you should not use any article, okay? One of them is for categories of things, such as sports, subject of study, or meals. These three things don't use articles. I like skating. Soccer or football is very popular, right? So for sports, you don't need to use any articles, okay? For subjects of study, I love English. You are studying English. Don't use an article. I'm studying the English. No, it makes it seem like you are not studying English, okay? The other one I mentioned, meals. My favorite meal is dinner. There are no articles before meals. The last point I want to mention is, do not use articles with proper noun. Proper nouns usually start with capital letters, a big letter. That's how you know they're a proper noun. Proper nouns such as the name of companies, the names of cities or countries or continents do not use the. Languages and special days or holidays are also considered to be proper nouns. Now I want to quickly mention one thing. I said that country names do not use articles. Just like we were talking about before, for every rule in English, there is an exception. If there is an adjective in front of the country name, or if the country name is plural, you need to use the, right? So adjectives include things like the word united. I'm in Canada, right? I'm Canadian. Which country is south of Canada? That's right, the United States, or the USA, right? Because the word united is there, we're going to use the. But we don't say the Canada, we just say Canada. The Philippines, because z at the end, it's plural because it's made up of tiny islands. Okay? So that is the exception for countries not using articles. If there is an adjective, use the, or if it's plural. If it's just a country name, Japan, Korea, England, no. The United Kingdom, yes. So today you guys learned the articles a, an, and the, and how to use the articles with a few exceptions to the rules. You guys learned a lot today. Good work. And now it's time for question of the day. Today's question is, what is in your refrigerator? What is in your fridge? So, using articles with those nouns, please tell me what is in your fridge. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching this video. Mina, thank you. Ganbatte ne. Jane. Here's a little bit of an extra bonus for you. When you meet somebody for the first time and you introduce yourself, you usually talk about what your job is. Guess what? When you introduce your job, you need to use an article. I am a teacher. My best friend is an artist. My husband is a security guard. Use articles when you introduce your job with people and you will sound more like a native speaker.